Hello and welcome to Solid Waste India. I'm Afreen Kadwai, the editor-in-chief of the website. We have with us Mr. Prabhjot Sodhi. Mr. Sodhi is the Senior Program Director for the Center for Environment Education. He also recently retired as the Head of Circular Economy at the UNDP. Welcome to Solid Waste India, sir.
Thank you, Afreen.
Mr. Sodhi, I'd like to begin by asking you about the Center for Environment Education. Could you tell us more about the kind of work you do in the waste management sector?
Center for Environment Education is a national institution which is engaged in developing programs and material to increase awareness about the environment and sustainable development. C was established as a Center of Excellence in 1984 for the then Ministry of Environment and Forest, and plays a key role in building the mandate and strategies around environment education, its adaptability, partnerships, and building synergies.
Until very recently, you were the head of circular economy at the UNDP. Now, there's a growing understanding of this concept, but initially, I'm sure it was a challenging concept to explain and implement.
Circular economy today is seen as a very difficult concept. On the contrary, it's a very simple process. It's a concept in India which has emerged from very long times. India is an economy built on repair. It is an economy which is built on reuse and reduce systems. The concept which is developing to enhance in the industrialization of the economy, it becomes a little more difficult in a way that industrialization has to think about not to engage in more and more material use, but to maximize the efficiency of the current material systems so as to obliterate any waste which is happening.
So how close or how far do you think India is to the goal of achieving a circular economy in the waste sector?
You see, if we take the Circular Economy 2020 report, which says that less than 10% of the world is yet circular. So it's a new concept which is being brought into alignment within the world all over. And India has taken the step at the very inception. And I congratulate that to be. To really make it happen, it has to be becoming a part of the political agenda, which the government is trying to show by making it happen. Now, it has to be seen how far we make it as an integral part of the industry and economy. Second, the board of directors of the companies also need to be understanding that we have to invest in this sort of a systems approach to circularity. The citizens are also a part of the whole show in a large way. They have to understand that we have to use, reuse, refill, and come into an economy where we do not waste. After all, when we are talking sustainable development, we are trying to say that the needs of the current is met in a manner that the needs of the future is not jeopardized. So academia, science, and policymakers all are part of the circularity mission to make it happen.
What more can be done at the ground level to make things really happen?
The concept which is being lined up is very achievable. India is on a road to great success. Would you know that India is using nearly about 9 billion metric tons across all sectors, the materials per annum. And the world is using 200 billion metric tons. So India plays, roughly about 4 to 3% of the total material use in the world. So India is operationally maximizing, but it has to gear up. The Honorable Prime Minister has also introduced recently in 11 sectors, which are heavily consuming materials, how to maximize the resource efficiency, recycling it up in a manner that we achieve better productivity. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Now, the Niti Aayog recently released a handbook on plastic waste management in cities. It recommended that ULBs set up material recycling facilities. You, while at the UNDP, played a vital role in this conception of the whole idea. Could you please tell us a bit about it?
This book, which has come out on Niti Aayog and plastic waste management, is all about what we have done from 2016 onwards. We were the first in the country, practically, one of the first, who started an integrated holistic program with 3 main functions. One was engagement at the city level. Second was to establish an integrated system from start to the end, where we involved a range of stakeholders, right from citizens to waste pickers, not calling them rack pickers, small aggregators, large aggregators, informal recyclers, registered recyclers, and the brand owners and the producers. We were involved with a range of stakeholders in this project. That was the beauty of it. And the third part was to create inclusivity of the so-called marginalized, less privileged, living on the peripheries, the Safai Sathis.
How do you think this will help the ULBs manage their waste better?
We feel that this book, which talks, is all about strategies. We came up in cities setting up pilots. The whole idea was we went into partnership with the ULB saying that we are coming with small pilots for you. So we said that we will have decentralized MRF. It was really a difficult task. People were not understanding why do we want to have small MRFs when I'm having 600 tons of material waste flowing into me, dry waste, so-called. And we were normally coming up with our studies quickly in the cities. We did assessments of the waste. We found that about most of the cities, dry waste was becoming an integral part of the wet waste, of the whole waste system. And it was about 45 to 50% of the waste was dry waste, which included non-biodegradable waste, when I say dry. And we said, when we are saying waste to be handled at the source, then why not keep these small material recovery centers varying from 2,500 square feet area to about 10,000 square feet. And we said we will manage about 4 to 5 tons of plastic waste, which means about 10 tons to 12 tons of non-biodegradable waste, which includes paper, textile, glass, metal, many other. We would show them that we are segregating to 46 different fractions of waste. It was not changing the form of the waste. So we were segregating them basically, and we were baling them or shredding them, and also air blowers. And we were having proper weighing machines there. We were introducing weigh bridges. We were introducing small people can come up, weighing scale, electronic weighing scale. So the whole idea of the MRF was to really give a transparency and traceability of waste from the generation to the disposal, so that better traceability can result. We were doing manual, and then we were updating through the computerized system. And as I said you earlier, in this process, we were harnessing more than 100 to 200 people. We were paying the market price without any deductions on the spot, because people wanted on the spot. First, we came with cash payments. Then we later on systematized them by forming them into small self-help groups or informal groups, unregistered, and making them weekly payments and then fortnightly payments by opening their bank account, giving them health cards, creating insurances. This whole ecosystem developed a very great sustainability because it was all interlinked and it was all interdependent. So I think so that approach is what this book talks about.
What were some of the hurdles, Mr. Sodhi, that you faced while establishing these MRFs?
From the very beginning of the day, it was a struggle. And now it's not a struggle because we have set the systems of success. First was that the ULBs, we defined this is our responsibility, this is your responsibility, that is the ULB. We have to equally do. And then we started entering into contracts with them. We said that you have to give us the space. We will not hire private spaces. You will have to give us the space in your city. And you will have to give us the shed also, given the guidelines by the MOHUA, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And you will also have to give us some machines. More than 50-60% gave the shed to us, made to design. They said, can you help us in designing those sheds? We immediately had our set of architects and our designers, and we gave them the sets. And therefore, you will see in many cities, the MRFs which we have made are of similar nature. Then the next big hurdle was selecting. There is a very big paucity of good waste management agencies who understand this as an integrated approach. So we had to pick agencies. It was more of a partnership. We were together in this whole process and we were building them across while we were learning ourselves. So this was a big hurdle, developing the waste management agencies in the whole management systems of operations. There were no existing examples of MRFs. It was to what type of machines to go with, what productivity measures, with what wattage measures, with what outputs. That was whole a range of challenge about machinery and plants. And that we searched and finalized and got it to. The third major issue which we really had to combat was segregation. We were finding very difficult to get a segregated waste. We never faced a problem with the Safai Sathis, which many people say. That was not a problem. But of course, their process of engaging with them, their process of enhancing productivity was a challenge to begin with. And it's a slow process. People need to get in. So there was these sort of range of things. And then getting them legitimized with the ULBs was not also a big issue. The ULBs were coming forward to help us in giving them health cards, identity cards, insurances, medical camps. And that was fantastic. This all integrated approach encapsulated that what we had designed is really coming true to the faction.
So what advice would you have for the ULBs and the private partners while they set up these MRFs?
There has to be an agreement between the ULB and the waste management agency that this is how they will operate so that they understand. Maybe 1 page, maybe 2 page. So that's one. Second is the ULBs have also to understand that this system requires establishing recovery centers. And they must come up with small recovery centers. It can vary from 5 to 25 tons and 50 tons. If the waste is 500 tons, then about 25 tons. The small centers will make sense. We can have 20 centers and we can make it localized within the area. So there is no transportation of waste going here and there. The biggest challenge which we came was on recyclers, finding the registered recyclers in the cities for various, because if we are segregating 46 fractions, then we have to go to different recyclers for different products. Pricing policies was a major challenge. These sort of things were certain deterrents to our partners as well. That's where we came to fund this whole process, that let's do it for 4-year period. In 4 years, we will establish the systems, and this will help us in increasing out the kinks, as they say. And the people will start earning a profitability and people will start feeling the investments into this system.
In terms of plastic waste management policy, what do you think that the government can do to speeden up India's pace and transition to circular economy?
You see, this ecosystem is building. So the policies cannot be once for all, and policies cannot be one fit for all. They are also transitory. And that's how our Gazette notifications are coming up, and our Gazette notifications are finding subsequent amendments. We had 40 micron, then we had 50 micron. Now we have 120 coming into picture by the end of next year. And we are finding solutions for single-use plastic. The market and the industry are both coming to help the policies get entwined into this. And the government is also to see the other way around, that we have to entwine the policies to meet the challenges of the stakeholders. 2-3 policies really need to come up very strongly is to encourage MRFs at decentralized manner, not centralize the whole show. The policies need to come up how to entwine the recycling sector. Right now, there is very little incentive. They are finding it very difficult to meet the basic criteria. So I think this sector needs to be understood within the MSMEs and the sector specifics. We need to have a little more like we have had for EPR. Similar sort of guidelines need to come up. That is one area which we need to look into. The second area we need to look into is the informal sector plays a very important role in India economy. I was sort of looking at once that if we are having 25,000 metric tons per day of plastic, then how much it is being collected and recycled by whom leads me to a conclusion that this economy is nearly all sectors included 10,000 crores per day. If we have to maximize the collection of the GST, then we have to see what alignments need to be done in order to maximize 10,000 crores of this value which is coming into the sector. You get my point? So the government has to see that while it's losing revenue, it also needs to correct this, because this is all a cash-based economy. All this is flowing in a cash-based economy. We have to then come up to skilling the whole show. We are talking of skilling now. I'm talking of skilling in bookkeeping and accounting. I'm not talking on skilling in terms of mechanical. I'm talking in skilling in terms of profitability. How can I engage with the small recyclers, small aggregators, kabadiwalas, in order to make their functioning clean and clear? How can I make them a part of my social economy, or an environmental benefits, or making it economic dent into it? So I think this is a gray area.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sodhi, for speaking with Solid Waste India.
Thank you.